Welcome to our Local Waters Done Well hearing. If we could all please stand for our opening karakia. Tu taua mai ronga, tu taua mai raro, tu taua mai roto, tu taua mai waho. Kia tau ai te Māori tū, te Māori ora, ki te katoa. Hongi e, ui e, tai e. Just a reminder that this meeting is being recorded and live streamed via our Council Facebook page. Very warm welcome to our submitters that we have here today. Thank you for taking time out of your day to come and present to us. We have apologies from Deputy Mayor Brosnan for lateness. If I could have a mover and seconder. Thank you, Councillor Crown, Councillor Price. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. Are there any conflicts of interest? No announcements by myself. Any announcements by management?
No, nothing from me, thanks.
Confirmation of the minutes of the meeting held on Thursday, the 26th of June. If I could have a mover and seconder, please. Thank you, Councillor Gregg, Councillor Taylor. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against, and carried. And so just a reminder to our speakers that we have here with us today, you have 10 minutes to present, but that also includes responding to questions. So we will provide some time for that. I do tend to be a little bit flexible, so but we will try and keep to the 10 minutes. And also a reminder that your presentation must relate directly to your written submission. Right, so we'll crack right into it, and I'd invite our first submitter, John Nichols, up to the front to present to us, please. Welcome, John.
All right, thank you very much. All right. Kia ora, and thanks for the opportunity to speak to my very brief submission, which was the first time in my life was one sentence. It doesn't happen very often, but I just really wanted to kick off initially to actually compliment Council and the officers, particularly on this document, which was the abbreviated one. I know all the 500 pages of the detail were there, but I found this document really helpful. So, and I hope the community did. But I am in support of your option one in the document, which is around scale. I've spent a lifetime in infrastructure, and scale, if you do it right, scale does make a big difference. And I just wanted to add a couple of extra bits and pieces on, which may overlap what's in here, but maybe at a slightly different angle. Look, if you've got a larger asset base and customer base, you can spread your fixed overheads better. And in an infrastructure business like the one that's contemplating being formed, there will be a lot of fixed overheads, engineering, regulatory, depreciation, so scale does help there. One thing that I have found over the years, it can encourage contractors to actually set up a base in the region. So instead of putting out tenders for 40 million, it could be tenders for 80 million, which could entice them to actually set up a depot and a training center, et cetera, in the region. Of course, that'll be around the whole country. So we have to make it attractive for them to want to come here for the bigger entity. But I have seen that, particularly in the electricity sector, if there's enough work, they will establish a base, which is great. The larger entity, I believe, would allow for standardization as well. Not so much on assets that are already in the ground, but as they're replaced, et cetera, we should do it one way, the Hawke's Bay way. So if they're replacing a pipe in Wairoa or CHB or here, it should be the same standard and the same. So that standardization helps. A bigger entity allows for resourcing in the new regulatory world, and I see in the intro part here, you know, I've spent a lifetime with the Commerce Commission being the overseeing regulator and stuff, and I could see this entity having at least 2 FTEs managing the regulatory world. It will be complex with the water regulator and the Commerce Commission, et cetera. You'll need some specialists in there, and scale allows you to recruit the specialists. And any commercial or any board that's set up to run this entity will want a couple of good people in the regulatory space. So scale allows you to do that. And it's easy to afford the investment in technology, which for an asset-rich company is everything. AI running scans across databases. And I know Hastings, Napier, everyone's got databases of their assets and stuff. Gluing it all together and using AI, et cetera, to help manage that is kind of the way of the future in asset management. It's not all beer and Skittles, though, if I can say that. There are risks. You've got to ensure your asset management plan is reflective of the communities. You're going to be gluing 4 of them together into a single one. Just make sure it's reflective of the community and ensure the new entity is well governed with clear expectations from the owners. And I think as that matures, that structure can absolutely work. And to be honest, as long as the owners don't overly meddle in that new company, they've got to set those expectations and demand performance. So I think that's really important. I'm lucky enough to be a director of Eastland Generation, which is 50% owned by Trust Tairāwhiti and 50% Japanese Obayashi company. And 50/50s can be interesting, but this one works really well because there's a really good shareholders agreement and there's a really good commercial, cultural, and environmental expectations. So my plea, when you establish, if this gets rolling, when you establish it, those foundational documents are absolutely crucial to get this right. And my other plea to you is don't dig in over everything. You're going to have to be pragmatic on a lot of stuff when you glue that together. But I can honestly tell you, if we didn't have those foundational documents with an offshore owner, et cetera, we would have had some sticky situations. So they have actually saved us by having that framework, which is really helpful. As I've said to you, the new world of this company, having the Commerce Commission, who are actually very efficient, and of all the, I've worked with a lot of government agencies, they have some pretty good people in there. They will be a hard taskmaster, as will the water regulator. But there's no free lunch really in the regulated asset business. You will have them overseeing. So really, I just wanted to conclude and say we've got a golden opportunity to form a truly regional company with assets in the billions. Now, I don't think most folks in Hawke's Bay realize that this entity will be the biggest in Hawke's Bay, certainly the biggest limited liability company. I'd suggest it'll be huge, which will be great. Should deliver better, more cost-effective outcomes. But we've got to do it right when it's set up. And I just wanted to remind everyone, too, we've got, I know Hawke's Bay Airport's a 50th the size of this new entity, but we do have positive priors where we're co-shareholding in the airport with the Crown, us, and Hastings. So it can work. And I think this gives us a golden opportunity to show the country that Hawke's Bay can work together and form and run the best water company in the country. So I'm very pro. So I support option 1? Option 1. So that's all I had. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, John. I'll just open up for any questions from councillors. Oh, looks like you're getting off the hook.
All right.
It is really reassuring as someone who has got so much experience in the infrastructure space, John, to hear you supportive of this option. And I think the concerns that have been raised by some members of our community is about that loss of local voice and how you actually prioritise the investments across conflicting communities. So your sort of knowledge in terms of ensuring that the setup is right to make sure that those concerns won't arise, I think provides additional reassurance that a regional model can work, and we just need to make sure that the establishment phase is absolutely spot on. So
I think so.
Yeah.
And just that, there will be, I've seen Council's asset management plan, and it's a good plan. It lists the sort of the 10 must-do projects. Hastings will have 10 must-do, Wairoa and CHB. Those have to go into the melting pot for that original establishment plan. But if number 8 gets kicked out 3 years down the track, it's not worth digging in over. You will have to have a degree of pragmatism, but don't want to give it all away, but there will have to be pragmatism from all parties to get it off the ground. But it will be a big company. It'd be billions in assets. So,
and I think fundamentally, the initial investment, and probably for the first decade, is all going to be regulatory driven across all councils.
Absolutely.
So there's not going to be any nice to haves in there at all. So it will be a process of prioritising the urgency of the various regulatory investments that need to be made over the councils. So,
and that the company that's established should have those you should have insight into what those criterion are for approving stuff, just at a high level. And if you say that's good enough, then just tick it off. But there should be criterion so the community can be assured that the wastewater treatment plant here, whatever, it doesn't just get pushed down to 2035 just because of lobbying or whatever. It's got to be quite clear and based on criterion, which I'm sure that, I've seen the DIA, they've got a lot of stuff in there to help with the establishment of these companies, and a lot of it's quite helpful.
Yeah.
It's hard to read, but it is helpful. But yeah.
Not easy to read like our consultation document.
No, that was good. I liked it.
Thank you for that feedback.
All right, awesome. That's all good.
Excellent. Thank you very
Thank
much,
you very much.
John.
Thanks.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Okay, I would now like to invite Bob Howe to come and present, please. Welcome.
My name's Alan. I'm just here to drive Bob and on his ears. He's a bit hard of hearing and that, so can I have to,
Oh, welcome, Alan. Good to have you here too.
yeah, all good.
Hi. Hope everybody can hear me. I can't hear any of you. My name's Bob Howe. I live on the corner of Kendi Road and Wellesley Road, number 1 Kendi Road. Before we start, I'll give $50 to anybody. This is my parents' fee that I got paid today. $50 to anybody who can tell me a company that every one of you pay $15 a month to every day of the year, and you're going to do it for the rest of your life. Anybody who can tell me the name of that company, I'd be very interested if anybody knows. Okay, we'll just put the $50 aside. I'm sure I'm going to have a lot of people claiming it. $50 every month, $15 every month. Okay. My background is I'm a plumber by trade. Got out of that many years ago, started moving houses, removal houses. But I ended up by purchasing 150 acres in Onga. And I built an orchard. On that orchard, I had to put an irrigation scheme. The irrigation scheme is for 80,000 trees. They required 3 litres of water a tree. I had to get someone who designed it for me. So I called tenders. I got 3 tenders, and they ranged from $450,000 to $435,000. We did the job ourselves for $127,000. That's why Team Napier is going to build the new water scheme for Napier. Okay. First thing, I'll briefly talk about water care. I don't know if any of the rest of the people in the room here are customers of water care. I am. What a shambles. If we go along the water care model, which is what you're talking about, the landlord pays the lines charges, the tenant pays the water fees or the usage charges. For me as a commercial landlord, it's not quite so bad. I pass the whole lot on to my tenants. But for the residential guys, it's a nightmare, because if the tenant doesn't pay, water care still come back to the landlord, and you have to go to the tenancy tribunal to try and get the water rates out of them. It's a real shambles. And for that reason, I think that model is very bad. But for anybody who's interested, the boss of that organisation earns $816,000 a year. A lot of money, even more than the boss of Auckland Transport, which everybody hates. $816,000. And you're talking about setting up an organisation which you can have no control over. You can have a board of directors, and they're going to just, we'll give them, we're down here, we'll only give them $600,000, but you can might as well kiss your money goodbye right now. Okay, my model for Napier, we're not going to have water meters. There are going to be no water meters, and you'll understand as we go through why not. It's going to be built by Team Napier, which is going to be operated out of the city depot here, and the waterworks staff are going to run it, not head office, the waterworks staff. They know what they're doing. when I did the orchard, how I did that, and we did it ourselves in the end, I employed some off-duty guys from the meatworks, and I took the number 1 chain and I split them into 2 gangs. We had the number 1 team and we had the A team. They competed weekly on the amount of pipe they laid, and that's how we got it done. We laid there was 6 kilometres of pipe on the thing, and we did it in 8 weeks. So you can put a lot of pipe in the ground very quickly if you're well organised. We didn't have any outside contractors; they were long gone. Okay, let's talk about our water. At the moment, we run on the principle that we pump the water up the hill and we run it down again. The worst model you could actually ever think of, and these days not used by very many people at all. For those who've been through the States, in the 70s when you went through there, every little town on the prairies had a water tower. Now that none of them have. When you go to New York, 90% of New York, as you probably all know, is an island. There's no Mount New York to put a water tower on the top of the mountain. So how do they do it? If you go to Shanghai, there's no Mount Shanghai either. They don't pump it up to the top of the hill and run it down again. When you pump it up to the top of the hill, it's like we have prestige water here. I used to have a bore at Awatoto. The water, I tested the water, 99.9% pure. And that applies to all the bores, or most of the bores around in Napier area. And what we're doing here is first of all, we're pumping it up to the top of the hill into the big sewer. I think it's do you call it a septic tank or something up the top of the hill? It sits here for about 3 or 4 weeks, sometimes 24 hours, sometimes 3 or 4 weeks. Then it runs back down again. By the time it's been in that big tank, it's been contaminated. If you go to the pub, you don't see the girl walking around afterwards picking up all the jugs that are left half empty, closing time, and putting them in a bucket to put back into the beer tank, do you? When you go to a restaurant and you leave a bottle of wine, they don't come out and fill up the next bottle so you can drink. I don't know about you, but we don't. In our fridge, we haven't got a common milk container that when we buy a litre of milk, we put that into the container and then we use that container to take the milk. We use the fresh milk. Under my scheme, the water's going to take less than 24 hours from the time it leaves the bore until the time you're drinking it. So it's going to be nice, fresh, prestige water. 99.9% pure, and that's the way it's going to work. I hope I'm not disappointing you, but these are just facts that we have to remember. By the way, we're ready to go. My team, Napier, that's going to build this, we're ready to go and we're fully funded. So by you, and you just haven't told us about it yet.
You've got 3 minutes, Paul.
Yeah, okay. I'm just going to talk about how we're going to do it. Well, for a start off, we've got to do 2 things. We've got to look at the new town plan that is just about ready to go, and we've got to get that evaluated to see how many people are going to live in which streets and how we're going to do that. We're going to run a competition between the high schools, EIT, and anybody else who might want to put up a team, and they're going to work out the demographics. We're going to give them a cash prize of maybe $5,000, $10,000 to their school, and they are going to work out how many people are going to live in each street under the new town plan. And I think we're going to get some very interesting figures, especially coming from the young kids, on how they think they're going to be living in future times. That's how we're going to do that. Now, how we're going to design this, I just read the other day that the council's got a design team that are working a year to design the new reservoir on the mountain up here. Why they're going to put that there, I'm not quite sure, but we don't want another septic tank on the hill. Okay, so we've got to get someone to design this. Little does anybody know, some of you probably know him, Adrian Mannering from Irrigation Services. He designed my original orchard for me when he was just a young cadet at Fruitfed. He built a company called Irrigation Services. They put in probably more pipeline every year than the whole of Napier put together. He's got computer programs that'll work out anything as far as flows and everything, and he'll probably do it for us within a month. He's got such super computers. We're not going to use the design team or anybody else in the house. We're going to get him to do it on contract, and he, I'm sure, will do it in 2 months so we can get some shovels in the ground. Okay, am I boring you all? Sorry if I am. We're going to start at Kendi Road. We're going to use 2 teams, and we're going to work on. It's going to be a little bit more difficult at the beginning, but we're going to work on 1 kilometre a week. And that is going to be difficult to achieve at the beginning, but that's how we're going to do it. And we're going to have 2 teams competing against each other, maybe just for beers and food. But the incentive you can give guys who are working on the job, you don't need to pay them big dollars. You have to pay them good dollars, but you give them incentives. And they'll get these. The other thing I haven't told you about, the 4 pipelines that we're going to put in the main city centre. One of the things in designing a water system for a city is you've got to make provisions for firefighting. As you all know, in the Napier earthquake, the city burnt down. The reason the city burnt down is because the water mains all got screwed up and they didn't have any water to fight them. So what we're going to do is we're going to just put 4 1-kilometre pipelines down the 4 main streets down through town, and those pipelines are going to be hooked up to the sea, and we're going to have 2 big pumps out there that are capable of being turned on any time there's a major fire, and we're going to put salt water down those pipelines. They're going to be big ones, and they're going to come down, and they're going to put water into the central city, so they'll have separate firefighting for the central city where you need it, and it takes a whole lot of design out of the water that's required around the rest of the city. I probably have talked my time out by now, but yeah, I'm willing to answer any questions. Alan just might have to tell me, because the acoustics in this place are terrible, especially if you can't hear. But I've got a bit of dirt on my hands. I've done all these things. Everything that I'm talked about today, I've actually done with my own physical self. So that's my story, and we'll start hiring at the city depot next week. This is fully funded by you guys, by the way, and you know where the money's coming from. I presume you've all guessed that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bob.
Anybody want to claim the $50? Does anybody here know what this company is called?
I did a quick Google and it came up, or what came up on mine was New Zealand On Air, but I'm picking that's not what you were.
Wish you would have told me on the way in. I could have claimed it.
Okay, the name of this company is called Blue Current. Has anybody heard of it? You're paying it $15 a month.
No.
You're all paying Blue Current $15 a month.
For what?
For your pardon?
What?
What for? Your power meter. They own all the power meters in New Zealand, believe it or not, and they get $15 a month for owning them. And you didn't even know anything about it. And now you want to put water meters on your water system. You've got to have rocks in here, because they just happen to be in the water meter business as well. And that's why I brought it up, because Blue Current own the water meters, and they'll soon own these ones, because the directors will get a big offer from them. Blue Current, if you're interested, recently changed hands, or 50% of it changed hands. The Australians bought it, for $1.75 billion. So that put a value of it 3.5. Who owns the other one half?
Bob, sorry, I will interrupt because we are running out of time.
Yeah, I
just wanna-
realise. The other half's owned by the Lines Company in Auckland, Vector. Okay.
I will just open up very quickly in case there's any questions from councillors. No. Thank you very much, Bob and Alan,
Anybody
for
who wants
being
to come
here
around,
today.
I'm open all hours, and I'm quite willing to explain exactly the whole story to you and how you're going to do it. You can bring your big bosses and engineers. I'm quite willing to have a discussion with them as well.
Thank you, Bob. Much appreciated.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you, Alan.
Okay.
Yeah, but why was that? Okay, I'd now like to invite Mark Plested to the front, please. Welcome, Mark.
My name's Mark Plested. I want to thank you for the opportunity to talk to my comments during public consultation. Just by way of introduction to those watching online, I've got 34 years experience as an engineering consultant globally, 15 years in city infrastructure system, long-term management, asset management and service delivery. And in the spirit of true disclosure, I was a former employee of Napier City Council as the projects and design management team leader. During that time, I had good exposure to Napier City Council's systems, infrastructure management systems, project management systems, and had the opportunity to compare those with my previous experience and help Napier City Council make progress towards best business case implementation of asset and infrastructure management. And I'm pleased to see that in the process of preparing for the Three Waters reform, Napier City Council and the other councils in the Hawke's Bay took a leadership position and got good consulting advice that has stood them well over the course of this issue developing to its present state. I want to congratulate you on your early collaboration and the generation of the 2020 Morrison Lowe WSP report and the Local Waters Done Well report. Both are extremely well prepared and thorough. I especially want to congratulate the companies responsible for these reports, their preparation, and the individuals involved in those companies for their efforts. The concerns raised in my comment were substantially allayed when I found these reports. It would have been extremely helpful to have referenced them in the detailed public consultation document to explained the extensive efforts undertaken to prepare Council for this decision and the existence of these reports and their support team. Instead, they were included under tabs such as regional modelling, which, given the subject matter, I thought was hydraulic, and I don't go inside the pipes, I manage the outside of the pipes. The Morrison Lowe report, Morrison Lowe WSP report and the subsequent Three Waters report identified critical risk areas in the recommended future delivery system options presented. The separation of prioritisation and capital program execution between Council and the COO respectively is ideal, but does require good information management, information accessibility, and planning interaction between Council and the COO. That process has to be efficient. Like any change opportunity, the devil's in the details, okay? It's the systems that you put in to implement this and the transparency of decision-making that will make the difference moving forward. What was missing in the reports was, in any assessment of the future, there is uncertainty in its own right. This was not reflected in any of the graphs, nor discussed in any meaningful way within the report. That uncertainty exists even at the fundamental level of the cost of living index, and that error bar should have been reported on the report or discussed in some way, manner or form that I did not see it if it was there. That error bar is cumulative over time, and to the point where it comes to a 10% difference in cost per annum to the ratepayer, I feel the cost difference between the scenarios is meaningless in this decision. However, the structural, procedural separation of role and responsibility and accountability issues are meaningful, and that has been achieved to the maximum extent possible by option 1. My concerns moving forward, many have been discussed in the reports, which I've previously mentioned. Primarily, keeping staff is one of them. Getting skills and paying for what is necessary to keep them will be a challenge for council, especially for jobs that remain inherently within council and are governance related. They will require skills from industry to support internal decision making, while you have a COO that will actually be executing, helping identify risks and mitigating them on your behalf. You need to have counterparts within your own organisation that can represent your governance in an informed way as well, to act as a two-way dialogue rather than a one-way dialogue either way. That's going to cost money. More money than would currently be available to you if you just use the public sector pay scales as your guide to what a fair and reasonable compensation is. So be very careful with your job descriptions, the keywords and the process for actually describing those positions moving forward to ensure that you get the right people on your side of the equation. Maintaining institutional knowledge will be a challenge. Farming out capability carries an inherent risk in the loss of knowledge, the loss of data, proprietary systems being used to model, design and deliver information to council moving forward. And you're talking about not just the next 5 years, 10 years, you're talking about 30 to 50 years of future planning infrastructure systems and information management systems that you'll be undertaking now. You need to make sure that those systems enable you to track strategy, track action, track inaction, track risk mitigation, track priority change, to ensure that you can communicate what has happened in the past to those that come after you. The CCO structure, there are many models out there of effective implementation of this. It has been extremely successful in the UK, where they went through this process nearly 30 years ago. I was employed in a company that delivered these services on the CCO side of the equation, and they were under 5-year service delivery contracts with well-defined, as Mr. Nichols said, and everything he said I strongly support. It matters that the CCOs are held accountable to performance measures and targets, and that they're rewarded for performance above and beyond those targets and not punished. Okay, so if you want good service, be prepared to pay a bonus. Okay, you negotiate those into contracts. That is an option to council to ensure good service, just like tipping your waiter. The use of 5-year contracts also ensures that there is a sufficient pipeline that can be foreseen of work to allow industry, on the consulting side in particular, to scale up. The stability in strategic decision-making, programs and priorities is critical to enabling the construction industry to see that pipeline, to scale up, as Mr. Nichols said, to invest locally, to invest in talent and keep it in the long term. So stability in programming is really important as well. Wellington Water has lessons here. Money for infrastructure systems and their management must be ring-fenced and sufficiently forecast to prevent cost shocks to the public and the future stability of programs. Transparency will be an issue. Councils need to be transparent about their risks to projects and service delivery and the costs and timeframes planned to reduce them, and what is possible in terms of industry capacity over time. You're not going to hit the ground running. There's going to be some skinned knees and some broken legs from time to time, and you'll have to act, as Mr. Nichols said, as a team to overcome those, because you're playing the long game now. You need to be accountable for executing all work in the year it was planned to be done, because if the plan was right, you've put service delivery, cost, and quality at risk without a mandate from the public. This must be reported by project in the annual plan and annual report, and you must have systems that enable you to do that efficiently and effectively. Make sure you have external assessments of how well this process is working. There are standards out there, ISO 55000, where you can get consultants in and tell you how mature your processes are and give you focus areas both on the council and the CCO side of things as to where you should focus improvements for the maximum benefit to the system itself. Make sure you continue to do affordability analysis for the public. Things change over time. You may not be able to afford to deliver the same levels of service the same way in different communities. You will have this challenge. You're not going to have one cloth cut to fit them all. Despite my concerns, the preparation to date signals to me that Council has engaged the right expertise to guide good decision-making moving forward. Council preparation management of this issue has been very well done, and I congratulate all those involved. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mark. Some really valuable advice and guidance in there. I really appreciate it. And I will open up for questions. Councillor Brown.
Kia ora. Thank you, Mark. And as the Mayor said, some really excellent points in there. You hit on one that I was really pushing for in the consultation document, that around the error bars on the dollar figures going forward. And our advice from Comms was that it was overcomplicating things and making it really hard. Just wondering if you see in the future, or if you have seen any consultation that does that communicates that uncertainty of cost into the future really well. I'd be really keen to see it.
It's an issue that Council faces in planning any financial expenditure moving forward, including into their long-term plans. And I know that this is the reason why you don't even include error bars in the long-term plans. My point is that there are risks in preparing any document and uncertainties in preparing any document. There needs to be a section within that document that discusses the risks and uncertainties. It doesn't have to be presented as error bars and confuse the general message. However, the risks need to be disclosed.
Any further questions? Councillor Simpson.
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor, it's more a comment than a question, but Mark, you made some very valuable points. We've got to, at some point in time, draft a letter of an expectation. Are your points written down? They're not included in your submission?
No, they're not included in the submission because, as I said, I found the backup documents report, which actually provided the source for a lot of the numbers that were presented in the consultation document, but didn't explain where the consultation document didn't explain where the numbers came from. But yes, I can give you a copy of my very badly written oratory.
I just think it would be helpful notation for us when we consider our letter of expectation, because there was the way you've bullet pointed it, we could all go dredge our way through the reports that you've referenced.
Sure.
But I think you've made some valid points
Yeah,
that could be useful for us.
I'll tidy it up and send you a draft.
That would be lovely. Thank you, Mark. No further questions? And I guess just further to say on the consultation documents, it's always a challenge for councils to strike that right balance in terms of the information that we're sharing. But we do appreciate your feedback, and we're always wanting to learn from feedback and to improve our consultation documents so that people do feel that they can understand and engage and provide us with their thoughts. So thank you
Yeah.
very much, Mark.
At every level.
At every- and that is the challenge.
Engagement, yeah, and that's the
Because-
challenge, yeah.
Yeah, that is the challenge, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Appreciate your time. And I would like to invite Angie Denby on behalf of the Ahuriri Estuary Protection Society, and we also have Sue McDonald, I see. Welcome to both of you. Welcome.
Kia ora koutou, and thank you for having us. We operate at a grassroots level, so none of the high level understanding of these things that we've heard about, but it's been interesting. I think you have our presentation in front of you, is that correct?
Yep.
Oh, yes, it's up there, thank you.
Yep.
And to move it along, what do I need to do? Oh, it's here. Right, thank you. So, we're here to talk about our beautiful estuary, which comes into the stormwater and the wastewater part of this Three Waters plan. Not doing the right one, which one? Ah, there we go. Oops. So, I won't read everything out. You've seen our submission, so hopefully we're expanding a bit more on the points we made in the submission. So basically, we're supportive of the proposal and whatever you decide, and it's been very encouraging to hear the gentleman who's spoken before us congratulate you on your preparation. So that's good for us to know. Let me think, what point in there? Yes, if you just run your eyes through those. So yes, that in a nutshell captures what our submission says. Oops. Oh, wrong way. So we feel we need to keep bringing forward to you, reminding you of the value of an estuary. And down the bottom of that little list there, the second half, crucial nursery and spawning grounds for fish. So these are the reasons behind why the water needs to be cleaned up. And it is a place that is valued just for its natural beauty and tranquility, for the well-being of anyone who goes there. So needs protection. Now, which way? I forget. Here we go. So as we all know, our estuary is polluted. And the usual things that we say, the build-up of chemicals from industry. Interesting fact, 53 times more zinc in the sediment there than the world's most polluted estuary, and that's a quote from a document of yours. Occasional sewage or chemical spills, sediment and nutrients from the hills, and the 70%, which is an approximate number, of Napier's untreated stormwater. And important to remember, that's the runoff from the roads and all the waterways that snake their way through Napier. So we have a strong interest in those waterways as well as the estuary itself because they lead to it. Okay. So I understand you more or less have made your decisions on which way you're going ahead.
Third option.
So if you choose the in-house solution, we want you to ask yourselves what hasn't gone well up till now. And if a consortium is chosen, issues there have already been mentioned. Will the skill base be spread too thin? Will the Napier person on the team be competing with Wairoa? Will the knowledge base within the Napier City Council still have in there, Kitty, the understanding of the history and the waterways? So something that's popped into our mind is, where has the 2018 Ahuriri Estuary and Coastal Edge Master Plan gone? We haven't heard ourselves publicly what the changes have been. Who will own the waterways? Who will benefit? And we acknowledge the planning is underway for the stormwater wetlands in the regional park. But big question to us, how much of our stormwater is going to be able to go into that? And which bits can't? What's going to happen to them? We have questions about that. The Piramu catchment, as we understand it, is the only catchment able to be easily directed into the new wetlands. From our understanding of all the monitoring, which we followed over the years, it was the cleaner of the waterways. So we're certainly interested to know what's going to happen with the town waterways, the old Tutaikuri riverbed, etc., that currently are not able to be put into the new wetland. Nature-based solutions, often the cheapest and simplest to do. More trees, infrastructure that's porous, car parks that you build, not straight concrete and asphalt, but surfaces where water can soak in. On the bottom left-hand side there, it's not a local picture, but it's an example of a rain garden where you just build something that the water will be held in. Simple little things that can happen. Fish passages at pump sites, that's one of the concerns. In our streams and drains or waterways, whatever you like to call them, there's lots of life. Eels and small fish and things like that. But the pump stations, if they try to move through, that minces them. So fish passages are something that we'd really like you to give some thought to. And over a period of time, we've really felt that local groups around waterways could be engaged quite easily with a flyer drop in letterboxes to say who would like to help look after the waterway near your house, etc. We feel that could be got underway. And our conclusion. So we back collaborative services, but worry about the dilution of local expertise. We support green infrastructure strategy, natural flood management, fining people if they make a mess in the estuary, not feeling you have to take them to court at great expense. And stay open to those of us in the community who are interested in what's happening. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Angie. Do we have any questions? Councillor Bogue.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Thanks a lot, Angie, for the very comprehensive submission. I just wanted to ask, through you, Madam Mayor, what is the process in terms of questions that are asked in submissions Are those responded? And I have another question after that. But I could...
I was going to actually ask Angie if she wouldn't mind sharing the PowerPoint with us to take away so that we can get council officers to respond to the questions that you've included in there.
Yeah.
That would be fabulous, thank you.
And just another question through you, Madam Mayor, perhaps for the staff, is this the notion of instant fines, is that practical, is this something that we do elsewhere apart from, no, I don't think we do it anywhere else, but what, is that a possibility of having instant fines for polluters? I'm just curious myself.
We don't have anybody from the regulatory team, but again, we can take that away.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Any further questions? No. Thank you, Angie. Thank you, Sue. Thanks for your time
listening.
today. Appreciate it.
That's a great question. Really onto it, eh?
Do we have Warwick Marshall here with us? Ah, very warm welcome.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm not really completely prepared. I was unable to access the report on the website. I couldn't find it, even with the help of a council staff member. We could not get the report nor the submission, so I haven't been able to see, what was proposed. So I'm sort of flying a bit straight off the hip, so to speak. I put a submission in because my feeling is if you don't front up now, you've got no right later on to speak, either positively or critically. So it's just to sort of put my hand up and say what I think. Well, hopefully. I do not support the joining up with all of the other councils. I just fear that we may be subsidising what those other people, want. I think we're big enough to stand on our own. I don't think our problem is so big. We've got local knowledge, to be able to do it, and I think it should be kept in-house. That's that bit there. If another organisation is formed, I just fear it'll be another one of these great big heavy layers of management running down at a huge cost. I want to see any money that goes into it to be spent on the nuts and bolts of the job. Coming from having basically free water, either rainwater or a damn good bore water, no issues with sewerage nor stormwater, to be fronted up with what they're talking about, up to $2,800 to $3,200 for a water system. I presume that's potable water, stormwater and sewerage. That's a big change. That's about $606.70 a day, every day. For what? Has there been a cost-benefit analysis done on this project, on what you're proposing? I couldn't see what was proposed, so I just asked that open, general question. This is an ongoing cost. Is it sustainable? How many people can afford to keep paying that year after year after year? And I know jolly well it'll only keep going north after that. Something's got to happen. Is it part of our rates? Will it be included in that? I notice at the moment, according to my latest instalment, $940.79 is attributable to the waters. I would assume that would be part of the $2,800. Is it? I don't know.
Yes.
Is it included within our rates? How does that affect the rates that come out each year? I don't know. That's a hell of a big jump. Is this really affordable? Where are these costs going? What are the major projects incurring the costs? Is it the sewage? Is it the potable water? Is it the stormwater? I suspect it's the latter. I went to the open day at the Ahuriri Farm there and had a look at what was proposed. Yeah, very nice to have. Can it be really afforded? I fear that this is another one of these central government projects that is forced on you guys, and I feel sorry for you guys, having to suck up what the central government gives to you. They must support you somehow, somewhere along the line. You cannot just keep going to the ratepayers and saying, you've got to do this, for the sake of water, whatever the water may be. It's nice to have, but is it really, really affordable? It is a big problem. I just heard the last speaker speaking of the estuary. Everybody sort of focuses upon the estuary. The estuary is nice to have, but it also has a very, very critical function, and that is to drain the water from Bayview, Seafield, Variety, coming through there. I had a chat with Councillor Keith down there. He knows full well my thoughts, on the estuary. That is a massive problem, and if it's not addressed sooner, or rather than later, we're going to have Bayview is just going to go underwater. The estuary has got to be maintained fit for purpose as a drain. Yes, it can work together with, the environmental type of things, all other life that goes with it. No problems. It's all about balance, and it's just got to get that balance correct. Anything that's out of balance, you or I, if we're out of balance, we fall over. Same with the environment, same with the waters. We've got to get that balance right, and if we don't, well, frankly, we're buggered. What else have we got here? In the past, whenever there's been a development, there's been significant costs in the way of development contributions for waters, all waters. What's happened to all of that money? Where's that been spent? Don't know. Be a good question. What else did I have there? The national standards. No, I think that's about it, basically. It's just, I am concerned at what could happen if this gets out of hand. You've got to put a cap on things. Central government are talking about capping rates. How are you going to cap your rates when you impose this sort of cost upon us? Don't know. Look, that's a massive challenge to you guys, massive. How do you do it? Something's got to give. And I think this is where we come back to getting this balance right to what it's going to cost and the benefits we're going to get out of those costs. That's about it.
Thank you.
Open to a bit of backlash.
Thank you, Warwick. And we've got the questions and your submission, so we will ensure that you get responses to all of those after the hearings.
Thank you.
But it's also lovely to hear that you understand the challenge that we are currently facing with central government, where on the one hand, they continue to push more costs on us because it is the increased regulatory standards which are driving these costs in the water space, and it has been mandated by central government. And then on the other hand, they are now saying they're going to impose rates capping on us. So we have to navigate our way through that challenge at the moment, and we need to ensure that our community understands the challenges that we're facing as well.
At the recent local government meeting, did the combined councils push back as collectively?
Yes,
yes. On central government?
We have. So under our national membership body, which is Local Government New Zealand, there was a remit that received majority support to ensure that we do collectively advocate against, this one was specifically around the rates capping, but we do have that national membership body that works on our behalf collectively when we're concerned with central government policy and how it's impacting us, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
I will just check to see if any councillors have any questions. No, so thank you very much for your time, Warwick, and as I said, we will reply formally to the questions you included in your submission.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
We are running a little bit ahead of schedule. I'm just checking, do we have any other submitters in the room who could go now? I don't believe we do. Okay, so we will convene for morning tea. We will keep an eye, if submitters do arrive a little bit earlier than 11, we may get back underway earlier than 11, so don't wander too far. But yes, you can have a quick coffee or tea break. Thank you. everybody. We're just going to have a slight change of order. I am going to invite Andrew up just to present his officer's report because he has to duck away. And we have Pauline Doyle with us for the next lot of submissions. So we'll go with Andrew and then we'll have Pauline up after that. So thank you, Andrew.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Now, happy to take my report as read, and really this is just a brief outline of the submissions to date and a quick analysis of what we have done. So really, firstly, I'd like to thank everyone involved, especially our comms team. They turned around, I think, a fantastic consultation document within a pretty tight time frame from when we made the decision on what the preferred option for consultation was. The report does include a brief background summary of the local water done well policy, where we're headed, and obviously that key date of September 3rd for us to submit our water service delivery plan, which will identify council's chosen delivery model for water services. A future paper will be coming on the 31st of July, and that is when substantive decision-making will be done, which will include a bit more analysis. As well, I will outline all of the consultation steps we did take in that paper. But key thing to, I think, address here is we had 666 submissions, which the team is very pleased at. Of that, 79% were in favor of the preferred option. 18% were opposed of the preferred option, and 3% did not indicate a preferred option or support of the preferred option or not. When we look at the analysis of those who were opposed of our preferred option, 44% did not indicate what their alternative preferred option would be, but 37% indicated that option 3 or the in-house delivery model was their preferred option, and 19% indicated that option 2 or Napier-only CCO was their preferred option. We obviously have our submitters speaking today. Originally, it was at 17 for those who wanted to speak to their submissions, and then that dropped to 13. And we'll see this after my report who still speaks. Some of the key themes that were addressed through the written submissions, affordability was a big one, and I think that is felt not only to our community, but also the wider Hawke's Bay community as a whole. The potential loss of local voice was cited as well, with the notion that going into the regional entity that council involvement and especially community involvement would be diluted through that organizational structure. Water metering was mentioned quite frequently as well. That one's quite interesting in that those who mention water metering are either fully supportive of it, understanding that a user pays and more equality around charges would be beneficial. The flip side, those strongly opposed, seeing that volumetric charging is just not a viable option and should not be there. And then finally, a key theme was just that investment and transparency, and really wanting to see where money is going, when, and what would happen, I guess, if there's conflicting priorities, which was spoken to earlier as well, that our first submitter was saying, if your priority is number 8, how does that all of a sudden work out in a regional aspect? But I'm happy to take any questions. As I said, more of this will be covered for the meeting on the 31st, and this is really just giving you a brief overview to support today's speaking submitters. But yes, happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Councillor Bogue.
Thank you, through Madam Mayor. As this water metering has been mentioned quite frequently, is there any mention of water metering in our preferred option?
Through you, Madam Mayor, there is no mention of water metering in the preferred option. What there is mention of is under Bill 3, when that gets enacted, water organizations will have 5 years to transition from any capital value or land-based value charging into an alternative revenue collecting stream. Kind of reading between the lines, they don't say you should go to metering, but they say you have to go away from that and then identify other revenue collection methods.
Just one other question, if I may. Our preferred option is, of course, a combined CCO, and I assume that's the preferred option of the other 3 LTAs that would be part of that CCO. And where are they in terms of their decision-making on this?
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor. That's correct. All the 4 councils that were a part of this, so Central Hawke's Bay District Council, Hastings District Council, and Wairoa District Council, all consulted on the regional CCO as their preferred option as well. Central Hawke's Bay District Council had a meeting, I believe, a fortnight ago to continue with the preferred option as the joint CCO. Wairoa, I believe, has a meeting this week to decide their substantive decision, and Hastings and ourselves are both on the 31st of July to make that final decision.
Any further questions? No? Excellent. Thank you very much, Andrew, and we look forward to you presenting on the 31st of July.
Likewise, thank you.
Thank you. Right, so I'd now invite Pauline Doyle to come and present to us, please. Very warm welcome, Pauline.
Thank you very much. That was really helpful hearing that summary. Thank you, Andrew. We meet again. I think this should be my last time that I make a submission to the council, hopefully. I've made this submission today because I suspected that there were a lot of people out there who think we should keep it in-house. And knowing what I know from all my years of being involved with Guardians of the Aquifer and protecting our water supply, I thought I'd better share it. So I wrote this letter to Hawke's Bay Today. Headline is, Napier should tap into Hastings water knowledge. And then I see a few days later the Mayor's reply in Hawke's Bay Today, where Kirsten Wise welcomes the opportunity to share expertise and skills with our neighbouring councils. Great, we're on the same page. I then discovered, after I'd put in my submission, that Hastings District Council is seriously considering universal water meters. And I've always been interested in that for a variety of reasons. This is my latest rates demand, and I have highlighted the water rates aspect of it. And I've spoken with my next door neighbour, and this is a copy of their rates demand, and their water rates are the same as mine. And I'm just wondering why I have to subsidise my neighbour's water usage. I don't subsidise their power usage. The difference is we don't get metered for our water usage. There's a family of 4 next door to me. They use 4 times the amount of water that I do, but their water rates are identical to mine. They pay the same amount as I do for water and sewage. So that's been on my mind for a while, and following what's been happening in Hawke's Bay Today, reported in Hawke's Bay Today, I sent you all the email about the Tararua District Council, nothing to do with Hawke's Bay, but they have decided on universal water metering. And then I read that Hastings District Council is doing the same, or is thinking seriously of doing the same. So I emailed you all, and I copied in Russell Bond, who very kindly, he's the Executive Director of Infrastructure Services, and Russell replied. This is the guts of his email to me. And he says that Napier City Council has allocated 26.14 million in the long-term plan from 2029 to support the installation of universal water meters across the city. Well, bravo, you've finally bitten the bullet. I wasn't aware of this, so I really appreciate Russell responding. His email also goes on to say that metering will help identify and manage leaks. It will promote more responsible water use and conservation. It will ensure a fairer consumption-based charging approach. All those things are really, really important to the people who live in Napier. I was wondering whether that was a unanimous decision by all councillors. Did you all vote in favour of universal water meters?
It was our 3-year plan, and did we have a unanimous vote in support of our 3-year plan? No. Councillor McGrath. But whether it was related to the water meters or whether he voted against it because of some other components of it, only Councillor McGrath could talk to.
Okay, that's fine. Almost unanimous. Almost all of you are courageous, because I know that, you know, the group within amongst the ratepayers who want to keep rates down have been uppermost in your mind whenever you talk about water metering. When I realised that I'm subsidising my neighbour's family of 4, their water usage, I just thought, I wonder how many other people are aware that they're subsidising their neighbours, whether it be next door neighbours or under the proposed regional council-controlled organisation for management of water, our other neighbours within the 4 local councils. So I'm going with the regional CCO preference. Universal water metering needs to be incorporated into any new CCO. It's a bottom line. It's all about fairness. So now I come to the Mayor's response to my letter to the editor. And this letter, by the way, formed the basis of my written submission. Unfortunately, the Mayor has overlooked the key point from my letter to the editor. So I'll just read it out. Since March 2017, Napier City Council has continuously used incident standard chlorination at Napier's pump stations. Hastings District Council, in contrast, has constructed 2 huge holding tanks, especially designed to allow the chlorine treatment to disperse evenly before dispersing drinking water through their network to consumers. That's why I've asked for this overhead projection of an email that I found in my archives from June 2018 from a council member. It says the decision was taken at the council meeting held on the 20th December 2017 to maintain incident chlorination of the Napier water supply. The word incident chlorination was used as the current chlorination infrastructure is of an incident standard designed for the purpose of short-term incidents. It is not desirable to use for the long term. We cannot afford to keep it in-house. And that's why I'm really pleased to see Kirsten saying that you welcome the opportunity to share expertise across the region. Where am I up to? I've done that. Number 5, 6. I note from that 2018 email from Sherry Ball, she also mentioned the draft long-term plan contained provision for 1.7 million in 2018 and 2019 to construct 2 permanent water treatment plants to replace the 10 incident standard chlorinators. So we're slowly heading in that direction. And hopefully a regional CCO will speed up that process. I think that's all I've got to say.
Thank you very much, Pauline. I'll just open up for any questions from councillors. No? Thank you for your ongoing advocacy in this space, Pauline. You hold us to account. We appreciate that. And I'm sure we will be seeing you in some future hearings.
I'd like to retire.
Well, we would respect that too.
All right.
But thank you for your time.
No questions.
Thank you.
Just the right answers, I hope.
Now, it doesn't appear that we have any further submitters here at the moment. We will be required to remain here in case someone turns up. So if we'll just adjourn for the moment, and if required, we will re-adjourn, even if it is just to vote and close. Thank you.
Everybody, we will re-adjourn, and I would like to welcome Dr. Nick Jones from Health New Zealand, who is our final submitter for the day. And just a reminder to you, Dr. Jones, you have 10 minutes, and we do like a little bit of time at the end to ask any questions. So, very warm welcome.
Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Nick Jones ahau. Nice to be back at council table again. For those of you who haven't met me before, I have worked previously for the DHB for many years in public health, and then last 2.5 years have been at the Ministry of Health, so just returned recently to Hawke's Bay. So in terms of local water done well, let me just start by remembering 2016 in Havelock North, where a lot of, I think, the thinking behind this came. We were, at that time, the District Health Board and the Public Health Service was both the regulator and the responder. So we were acting in the taumata ROI space, but we were also responding to the outbreak. The submission, documents a number of the recommendations that came out of the government's inquiry, including a recommendation that councils look at amalgamating their water services in some way so as to achieve gains in terms of critical mass, expertise, ability to finance, and so on. So a lot of what we're seeing today, and of course, as we all know, the previous government came up with a water proposal. This government has changed course slightly, but nevertheless, that's kind of the background. So our position is, given the constraints of the current environment, the need for investment, and the benefits from a joint council-controlled organisation, we do support that option. We have noted that some of the detail around that, including the governance arrangements, are yet to be finalised, and I think some of that detail will become very important and to mitigate some of the risks. Finally, I just wanted to note that while we're no longer the water regulator, we are still responsible for the surveillance and management of waterborne illness. So we work closely with Taumata ROI, but we also wish to continue to work closely with councils as we are still responsible for that part of the continuum. So open to questions.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Dr. Jones. Do we have any questions from councillors? None. Oh, thank you very much for your time today, for coming across from Havelock to present for us. We appreciate that. And as always, in anything to do with our public safety, Health New Zealand's advice and input is pivotal to our decision making. So we appreciate that. Thank you.
Great.
Okay, so we have already had the officer's report presented to us slightly earlier, which now leaves us with the officer's recommendation to consider is A, we receive the report entitled Local Water Done Well Submissions. We note that officers will prepare a report for the 31st of July council meeting, at which stage we will do the formal deliberation and resolve a substantive decision on the preferred delivery model, and that we note the points made by submitters and give thanks to our community for their engagement. Before I'm happy to move that from the chair, but before I do that, just to open up if there were any final questions of council officers or any general discussion. Councillor Bogue.
Sorry, Madam Mayor. As far as the questions that our various submitters have asked, will that be part of the report that comes to us on the 31st or before, or how do we read those?
The questions from submissions will be dealt with from this actual hearing process in terms of how we respond to those. So actions out of today's meeting will be to ensure that those are responded to. So, yeah.
And we'll get a copy of that.
We will, yeah. Any further? Okay, so I'm happy to move from the chair if we could have a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Price. So yes, another milestone in terms of our water infrastructure, which we've been considering now since 2018. So it has been a long journey, and we still have a long way to go. But I would like to say thank you very much to the community for the 666 submissions we received. It is always important that we hear your thoughts, receive your feedback, and 79% support in favour of our preferred option of a regional model, I think gives us a level of confidence as we move forward to our next step at the 31 July meeting, where we will actually make the decision on the preferred delivery model. So a couple of weeks and then that decision will be made. Councillor Price.
Just really reiterate what you've said. I think it's outstanding that we got such a good response from the community. It's always good when you go to consultation that you do get that feedback and a pretty good direction to us of where we should head. So no, thank you.
Thank you. Any further speakers? Councillor
Just to add to Councillor Price's comment, I think it is the number that we got, number of submissions we got, it's probably a reflection of the information that the public was sent to. So, well done, staff. It's obviously quite clear and people understood and wanted to have their say.
Any further speakers? No. I will put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Excellent. Thank you, everybody. That brings us to the conclusion of our meeting. If we could stand for our closing karakia. Kia tau, te rangamare, ki ronga i ngā iwi katoa, kia piki te ora, te kaha, me te māramatanga, i ngā wā katoa, tihei Māori ora. Thank you.